In the early 20th century, long before the digital age, and of course the explosion of scientific discovery, a mysterious text emerged, the Urantia Book. It claimed to be a fifth epochal revelation, a revelation not just of spiritual truths and philosophical depth, but of scientific foresight. For many videos, I have focused on controversies and the negativity surrounding the text as a curiosity snare for those who are new to the Urantia Book, touching on the negativity bias that often fuels all sorts of successful social media and content creation. This negativity surrounds the uncertain origins of the Urantia papers, along with rightful plagiarism claims associated with early 20th century works. And of course, the several inaccurate scientific claims that the book has likely made. For those who are interested in the negativity content, there are plenty of videos on my channel to satiate that curiosity. However, for my loyal subscribers currently watching today's video, this video, believe it or not, is entirely for you. Many of the great comments my subscribers have given me are in true support of the Urantia papers, and that there are some major scientific points that the Urantia Book makes that radically reinforces its legitimacy for its believers out there. In today's video, we will discuss the scientific claims that the Urantia Book got right, and for some that have yet to be even proven. All right, let's dive in. For decades, readers have wrestled with the Urantia Book's bold assertions and prophetic statements, especially those concerning the nature of the universe, the origins of life, and the structure of matter. The science content of the Urantia Book, as explored on Truth Book under their Science Content of the Urantia Book section, of which I will leave a link for you below to explore, offers a fascinating lens through which to examine the intersection of faith, reason, and revelation in greater detail, which is a great addition to today's video. One of the book's foundational assertions is that the existence of God cannot be proven through scientific means or logical deduction. Well, that's certainly true with today's technology. However, eventually, perhaps sooner than we might think, science will find the spark of the eternal isle of paradise fused with all matter called the ultimaton. N42 1.2. The ultimaton is currently a hypothetical subatomic particle, described as the fundamental building block of all material creation. The book posits that electrons are composed of 100 ultimatons. It further suggests that the center of every ultimaton is the Isle of Paradise, which is the dwelling place of God. Currently, since we do not have the technology to measure this phenomenon, I, being a scientific layperson, would speculate that the energy to feel electrons comes directly from the source. For now, the Urantia Book indicates that divinity or the presence of God can be proven through one's experience and, of course, moral choices. This emphasis on experiential knowledge over empirical proof sets the tone for how the book approaches science, not as a rival to faith, but as a complementary pursuit. The Urantia Book acknowledges the limitations of human knowledge and the provisional nature of scientific understanding. It suggests that material explanation is only half of the proverbial puzzle. If we omit the spiritual realm, and that both science and religion rest on many assumptions that will be clarified in future ages to come. In my opinion, the restating of the inaccurate scientific information provided in the early 20th century texts was either an exemplification of what I feel is the remote and sometimes inaccurate understanding of our planet by slightly higher fallible entities, or conversely, to purposely have our race remain scientifically aloof given our current scientific unreadiness for such a stark scientific advancement. Perhaps one of the most compelling aspects of the Urantia Book is its use of what's called pre-science. The book, received roughly from 1911 to 1935, describes phenomenon that we were not able to confirm until decades later. For those skeptics out there, if we do not take the Urantia Foundation's word for the origins of the text, the book was officially published in 1955. These dates are important for the following reasons that will be simplified in bullet points. All right, the first one, it references neutrinos and their release during stellar collapse, confirmed in 1956. It describes the weak nuclear force and its carrier particles, discovered in 1983. And lastly, it discusses continental drift and the breakup of the supercontinent 750 million years ago, long before this was accepted by geologists in the 1960s. Now, granted, these points were most certainly vague and sometimes unpopular theories previous to these dates. However, how does the unpopular and unproven information reach Chicago, Illinois from 1911 to 1935? Today, that would be much more feasible rather than back then. These examples suggest that the book contained scientific insights that were not part of the mainstream knowledge at that time. Whether this is evidence of revelation or coincidence remains a matter of personal belief. But the accuracy of these predictions continues to intrigue readers and researchers alike. While I believe misinformation may have passed through the proverbial cracks due to some specific authors choosing an early 20th century perspective on science, other authors, perhaps even with divine instruction, released some scientific knowledge that was most certainly ahead of its time. Especially during an era where there really was no scientific creativity. I mean, the radio just pretty much came out at that point, right? There was no World Wide Web, there was no Comic-Con, and there most certainly was no popular televisions being used during that time to spread this information. Just books. That was it. The Urantia Book offers a sweeping account of Earth's geological evolution. It describes cycles of land elevation and submergence, the formation of mountain ranges through continental drift, and the breakup of ancient land bridges. These narratives align with modern geological theories, including the supercontinent cycle and plate tectonics. One particularly striking example is a description of a massive volcanic eruption in eastern Kentucky in 59.2.5, which the book claims occurred 330 million years ago. In 1990, geologists uncovered evidence of a colossal eruption in that region, lending credence to the book's account. The book's treatment of astronomy is equally ambitious. It discusses the formation of neutron stars, the nature of black holes, and the mechanisms that power stars. It describes the hydrogen-carbon-helium reaction as the primary energy source in stars, a theory developed by Hans Bethe in 1939, and now is widely accepted. It also references Tycho Brahe's supernova of 1572 and 41.3.5, attributing it to a double-star explosion. This theory was confirmed through X-ray mapping in the 1960s. Similarly, the book describes the Crab Nebula as the remnant of a nova explosion 900 years ago, with a lone star at its center. The discovery of a pulsar in the Crab Nebula in 1967 supports this claim. If you're like me, these sections of the Urantia Book increase the chances for mental strain if you have a basic understanding of cosmology like I do, but are overall important to speculate due to supporting the overall validity of what the Urantia Book claims to offer. Despite its scientific foresight, the Urantia Book is candid about the limitations of its cosmology. It states that revelations are constrained by the knowledge available at that time, and that scientific statements may require revision as human understanding evolves. This acknowledgement serves as a safeguard against dogmatism and encourages readers to view the book as a spiritual guide rather than a scientific textbook. Quite frankly, if the authors would have removed the scientific portions, I most certainly believe that the Urantia Book would have been more popular to other readers. The book distinguishes between inspired spiritual truths and non-inspired cosmological content. It asserts that while divine insight is a gift, human wisdom must evolve through experience and discovery. This nuanced view allows for a dynamic relationship between revelation and science. In the realm of particle physics, the Urantia Book describes atomic structures and the instability of elements with more than 100 electrons. This was later confirmed with the discovery of element 101, I'm going to try to say this, mendelevium, and its short half-life in 1955. The book also discusses the motions of the moon, stating that it is slowly moving away from our planet, a fact verified through radar measurements and lunar laser ranging experiments, similar to what was seen in Season 3, Episode 23 of The Big Bang Theory. Oh yeah, this all was starting to be explored around the 1960s as well. The text even touches on planetary atmospheres, correctly predicting the dense atmosphere of Venus and the thin atmosphere of Mars, long before space probes provided empirical data to support these findings. The book's account of biological evolution is both detailed and controversial. It describes the emergence of dawn mammals, mid-mammals, and primates in a Mesopotamian peninsula over 1 million years ago. My favorite scientific creature that's described in the book are fandors, or massive passenger birds that used to taxi people around, found in 74.3.4, whose remains have yet to be discovered. It is speculated that a similar bird can be found in Jerusalem, the headquarters of our local system of Satania, that can fly up to 100 miles per hour, found in 46.2.4. The text also discusses the distribution of dinosaur fossils, noting the absence of monster dinosaur remains in Australia, such as the recently discovered Australotitan cooperenius, discovered in 2006. In addition, the Urantia Book claims that the red man migrated from Asia to the Americas roughly 85,000 years ago. This predates the traditionally accepted timeline of human habitation in the Americas, which was once thought to be no more than 12,000 years ago. Recent archaeological finds have pushed back the date to 30,000 to 40,000 years previously, inching closer to the Urantia Book's original assertion. Another fascinating prediction involves the sun's emissions of X-rays. The book describes the sun as a vast X-ray generator, a notion considered speculative in the 1940s. It wasn't until 1948 that X-rays from the sun were detected by instruments aboard the V-2 rockets, and their role in disrupting radio communications was confirmed in 1956. The geological history of the Mediterranean basin, as described in the Urantia Book, includes periods of isolation, evaporation, and catastrophic flooding. These accounts are supported by deep-sea core samples taken in the 1970s, which revealed layers of flora fossils, gypsum, and rock salt, which of course is evidence of dramatic environmental changes over millions of years. The book itself refutes a global flood story. That is, not in the sense that humans were alive to even tell the tale when this was going on. The Urantia Book breaks apart Noah's flood story as being a series of influence events from Old Babylonian influences in 77.4.2. In addition to my favorite actual event of a localized river flood of a man named Noah that was finally right about the utility of a houseboat in his region in 78.7.5, horrifically watching his neighbors drown that once thought he was crazy. The book mentions the heat of deep space and attributes it to gravity presence and action. While early measurements supported the Big Bang Theory, recent data has challenged this view as we find new galaxies emerging from the center of the universe, and some findings appear to align more closely with the original Urantia Book's explanation. The debate over cosmic background radiation continues, and the book's alternative perspective remains a great point of interest. Ultimately, the Urantia Book invites readers to explore the universe not just through telescopes and microscopes, but through the lens of spiritual insight. It challenges the notion that science and religion must be at odds and proposes a unified philosophy that embraces truth, beauty, and goodness. Its scientific content is not presented as infallible, and even in the forward section, even admits to borrowing from human sources of that time. The book's predictive accuracy in certain areas may inspire awe, but it consistently emphasizes that the true revelation is validated only through personal experience. For those that seek a synthesis of science and spirituality, the Urantia Book offers a compelling, if unconventional, path. It is a puzzle, a challenge, and a call to a higher understanding that will take lifetimes to even partially comprehend. Whether one accepts its claims or not, its vision of a harmonious universe governed by love and intelligence continues to captivate the minds and hearts across generations over the entire planet. Thank you again for watching today's video, your continued support, and I'll see you on the next one.